Hi, I'm Sandi Genovese, and today we're going to hand make a little custom scrapbook that I'm using to feature some photos that actually a friend of mine took last summer, and I'm just now getting around. I love the photos, and you'll see why in a minute, but I want to direct your attention first to the covers. This is a plastic, and I love that the plastic is such a great support. It means that it will protect all the inside pages with whether I have die cuts or handmade embellishments, photos, journaling. Look at these photos. I love these shots. They look, they're just birds on the beach, but as you get in closer and you look at them, I mean, look at these guys. To me, if you've seen the film Madagascar, these look like the penguins. I can hear them in the airplane. I feel like they're shouting to me even as look at these. They're just so good that they demand a little scrapbook all to themselves. So all the photos that were taken that day are going to go into this little scrapbook. The covers I mentioned are plastic. And believe it or not, this is the time of year that you're going to want to create this kind of a scrapbook, because this is where you're going to get what you need. This is just a notebook that I got in Staples from the Martha Stewart collection. The back page is what I used to cut apart to make the one, and I left this together so you can see how easy it is to do it, and we're going to use this to cut apart to make the one that we're going to see the steps on how to make today. So in order to start, I start with the inside pages. You need to make sure that the dimensions are going to allow you to make use of the notebook covers that you have. So in this case, I need to be able to get a front and a back cover out of this. So this one piece has to accommodate two of my interior pages. So what I did was sat these down and said, okay, I can see that I have plenty of room on all the edges. Sometimes I even use the holes that are in here because I'm going to take it apart so the holes will be intact, but I don't want all of these little binding things. I just wanted to have two binding holes. So I'm going to actually trim it off for today's scrapbook. There have been times though that I've left all those holes and I've used them and put ribbon through and tied all the ribbons on the ends. So the dimensions of my pages, let's see, I wrote it down so I could tell you. It's 5 1/4 wide and it's 7 1/2 long. And you're going to want to cut however many pages you want. In my scrapbook, I tended to use blue for all the pages that I'm going to have journaling and a lot of souvenirs and design elements, and then white for the photos, because these are such gorgeous photos and the color is so good. I just think that the other colors take away the color pages, so most of my photos are going to go on the white pages. So what I did was, because my dimension is 5 1/4, I came in 1 inch and I marked the middle. And I did it with, I should have been a different color, but I marked the middle. I'll show you what I did. I marked the middle, coming in 1 inch from the bottom and coming down 1 inch from the top. And then I came in, gosh, I can't remember now how far I came in. Let me look in this and measure. I came in 1/4 of an inch. So coming in 1/4 inch from the side, I then marked, and it gave me crosshairs so that I could then punch out. Usually I pick a color that's completely different than any of my interior pages because it makes it easier. I'm going to use this as my guide to do all of my interior pages. To save time, I've really already gone ahead and I've done all but just a couple. So I'm going to use this guide to come in here and mark those holes with my pencil. So you can see then, I'll go back and I'll take a 1/4 inch hole punch, and I'm going to cut through a few pages at a time just because it's faster. So you'll end up with all of your pages. Now if you're really good, let's see if I line these up, you should be able to flip them. I should be able to do this or this, and they work both ways. If I really measured and came up 1 inch and they match. If not, if you came in an odd amount, just make sure that you keep the tops and the bottoms always aligned. Once you have all the interior pages and the cover pages, then let's look for now. It's easiest to do, I think, the decorating while they're loose and you don't have all the other pages in the way. So if we open this up and look, I started with just bold. To me, there's nothing that says summer like flip-flops. So if you want to do something like this, there's probably lots of die cuts of flip-flops. I didn't happen to have them. You don't need them. You can easily draw a flip-flop shape. If that makes you uncomfortable and you have a pair of flip-flops, take a picture of them with your camera, print out the photo, take a piece of tracing paper, lay it over your photo, and then use that in order to go back and cut out. And you can see that I've got this shape. When I first drew it, you can see lightly here, this pencil version. When I first drew it, I drew it with this colored section all attached because that's how I was looking at the sandal. But then in transferring it, I ended up doing it separate so that I have my guide so I know where these pieces are going to go. When I get ready to reassemble, I know they're going to sit like this. But when I cut it out, I'm going to cut out the pieces individually. So that's why I've shown it to you like this. So you can see you're going to lay this down, cut it out, use this as a pattern to cut 2 of the sandal bottoms and then 2 of the colored tops. And in fact, I think I even still have here. Here you can see I just folded paper. Here was my pattern. I've used it to cut out these pieces. And then I've used this section to cut out the other pieces. Before I can place the pieces together though, I need first to add a little bit of coloration. Let me bring this closer to myself and just show you with a marker that's just, you know, 1 or 2 shades darker than my paper. I'm going to add the detail that you would see. This would be the under section. You're just giving it the sense of dimension by adding this portion. I'm going to do the same thing. My pen is getting fuzzy, so it's kind of hard to get a sharp line, but hopefully there's enough that I can finish coloring both of these sandal pieces. You can see how it's starting to give you the section separation part of the flip-flop. It's wanting to slide around a little bit, but you get the idea. I have had this pen, I guess, way too long because it's gotten thick and fuzzy and it's starting to run out of ink. But it's easiest to add this while it's loose and separate. Now I'm going to turn it over and put adhesive on the back, and I think while I have my adhesive out, I'm going to go ahead and add adhesive to the second one too, so that I have both of them ready to go. All right, and then I need to attach them to the sandal itself. So I'm wanting you to see that this is going to get positioned like so. So if I want them to look kind of like they match, you can use this as a guide. Doesn't need to be exact, but this was what I used, so I can see that the feet are going to be roughly about right here. So I'm going to go ahead and attach that. And now that I have this one attached, if I want the shoes to look like they match, it's best to use this as a guide. This time, of course, I want the shoe facing the other way. So I'm going to flip this over and make sure that when I position this one, that it lines up with these pieces. So I can see, in order for it to match, it's going to be roughly in that position right there. So I go ahead and fasten those down, and you end up with a really fun little pair of matching flip-flops. You're going to go ahead and attach these. Well, I can go ahead and stick them down. It'll only take a sec. So if I take my adhesive and have one shoe and a little bit of adhesive. Remember, you're going to do more adhesive than me. make it look like you're walking, so one is going to be raised a little more. I've got room to go ahead and add. I don't have the paper with me right here, but you can see in my finished one I'm going to add, just keeping cool is going to be sort of the title for this page. When I go to here, I thought I would show you how easy it is to add titles when you want them thick and white. If you want to be able to handwrite or hand print and you want it thick like this, I have sort of a trick. I'm going to grab a piece of yellow paper, and this is just a whiteout pen, and I do have to get it going. It'll be just my luck. I've used this pen all summer long, so I'm hoping that it still has plenty of juice. Please. So in order to get it going, I'm going to just get it started here. You have to push on it as you write. And it makes you be more artistic, I think. So I'm going to push and get a nice bold line started and just write S-U. It's almost like you're painting. M-M-E-R. It is going to take some time to dry. And I got a little clump of dried stuff in the very beginning of it that I'll pull off when it's all dry. But it is kind of a fun way to get a nice, still your handwriting, but in a nice, thick, clunky way. It allows you to use white even on a lighter color. It is going to be just like me to put my shirt in that, so I want to get it out of the way. Then if we go back through, I also have a fun time using die cut. So I thought I would show you, even just taking a die cut of the sun, how you could sort of zhuzh it up and turn it, make it a little bit more special. So I'm going to take the die cut, which was the sun, and I'll bring it up, and I won't go around the whole thing because it would take too long, but I'm going to add a little bit of shading. Once again, just taking a marking pen that's just a little bit deeper in shade to the one that to the shape of to the color of the die cut of the sun itself. So I'm just adding a little dimension, and I'm not even trying to add shading because if I were really adding shade, it would only be on half. You know, I'd have this side shaded and this side not. I'm adding just like a key line or an outline right around the edges. I know I said I wasn't going to do it all, but it was easy enough to do. So you can see the first thing is to just add a little bit of coloration to the edges. And then the next thing that I'm going to do is I want to layer what looks like more texture in the middle of the sun. I'm going to do that by just adding different size circles. So I've taken a slightly deeper shade of yellow, and I'm going to take this circle. You can use circle punches, or if you have circle die cuts or a circle, I have a circle cutter that will cut all different sizes. So the sun was yellow. This first circle is sort of gold. The next circle is orange, and it's smaller. So I'll set this sort of in the middle, and then the final circle is smaller still and is red. So you can see I'm building the heat, the hottest colors into the middle, and this is where my tweezers really come in handy because it's hard for me to tell when something is centered if I can't see all the edges. So it's easy to create an embellishment like this that then just is going to get, I don't remember exactly where I put it in the book, but look at how great, you're going to put way more adhesive than that, this is going to look sitting on those blue pages. So you're going to go back through and add all of those embellishments for the interior pages. You're going to have all your photos. Then it's time to sort of address the cover. And the reason I've decided to wait is because the cover needs to be, I start with the dimension of the page itself. So my page, as I said, is 5 1/4 by 7 1/2, and I'm going to have my covers be just slightly bigger. What I need to do first is I need to take and get this off. First I want to get rid of this because it's really just in my way. So I'm going to just toss that. Now I want to pull this off. So you can see where this opens is right here. All I have to do is just slide this out of the wire binding. Lots of these notebooks have plastic binding, and that's even easier. But either way, the thing is, the cover itself is so strong and so durable that it is not going to rip or tear. And as I said, sometimes when I cut these apart, I use these as my binding holes, but that means that I have to come up with something to put in all those holes. It looks great with ribbon, but I wanted to use metal ring binders. So what I want to do is take my page, my scrapbook page, and I want to cut my covers just maybe 1/16 of an inch bigger, so that when the covers are sitting on the scrapbook, there's not a chance that the page underneath is going to peek out. So I'm going to cut my covers so that they're just as if I put 2 of them up here, you'll see. I'm going to be able to get 2 easily out of this. And it's going to be easiest for me to I'm going to head over to my paper cutter and I'm going to cut these on the trimmer, because then I can get them really straight. All right. So I've been to the paper cutter, and you can see that I've got a front and a back cover. And they're just, when you take the inside pages, remember I said just a sliver over. And what I usually do is I tap it down so that this end where the holes are match. And let's talk about the holes. What I want to do is I want to mark. So as long as I have this here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mark this. I'm going to need a permanent marker because I'm marking on that plastic. So I'm going to mark the 2 places where I want holes. All right, so now I've marked the front and the back cover, and I'm going to come back in and punch out the holes. And you know, I thought I would show you. I brought over the piece that I trimmed off. It's faster and I can get a straighter cut on the paper trimmer, but if you don't have one, this plastic cuts easily with scissors. Right now I'm cutting along here just so you can see that even if you don't have a paper trimmer, don't think that this project won't work for you. It definitely will. So I've got my front and my back cover, and now I need to slide all my pages inside. We have to pretend like we've already added all the other embellishments. And then I want to direct your attention to the table. There's, once again, multiple choices. I use these metal rings. So I'm going to bring this up, open it up, and once these are tamped down, you know, it's an easy thing to attach the metal ring. I would do the same thing to the top, and that would be good to go. If you haven't seen, I'll bring this up to me, these bird leg bands, they are wonderfully easy to work with. They're inexpensive. You can see all the size, they come in lots of sizes, lots of colors. We'll put a link up to the place where I buy them. They're inexpensive. And you can see, I'll show you with this one, you just slide it over, line it up with the hole, and twist it on. It's like a key for a keychain. So a couple of options for the binding. And let's go back to the one that has all my stuff inside. It just gives you a really cool way to protect your photos, and it means that it's easy for you to make your own scrapbooks and still have all the pages protected. I've done it. I've made them for years. I brought in, look at the table. These are ones I've made over the years. Trust me, I go back through these lots. Sometimes I've cut a window out like I did, and so the flower kind of shows through. Let me bring this one. This one, I've had so many people ask me about, like my studio or my house, that I have carried this back and forth in my purse. It's still really in great shape. This was the notebook cover, and the back, you know, you can see is part of the same notebook cover. And then I call this Live, Work, Play because this has sections. It has my house, you know, where I live, my studio where I work, and then it has the beach and the other parks around. So I've got, this is where I have photos of different rooms of my house. And then when you go to the second tab, I've got photos of the different, I wish I had different rooms in my studio, but the different parts of my studio. And I'm just gonna skip ahead. And then the last section is just different beaches and parks and areas around Laguna. This I've had for years. I've used it a lot, and these plastic covers have done a great job protecting my photos inside. You know, this is the perfect time of year that you can stock up on notebooks with plastic covers that you can then reinvent as scrapbook covers.